Hello and welcome to the Yarnings podcast. I'm Christine and I'll be your host. This is episode 91. I am calling it Falling into Trifecta-ing. It is June 29th. It is a Wednesday afternoon and I am coming to you from Vancouver, Washington, where it is sunshiny outside. I am on my couch again. Welcome to my couch. Where do I start? So you guys saw my lovely recap and looking forward episodes a week and a half ago, and I am back to share with you what I've been working on since then. Alas, which is such a dramatic word, I took a little spill walking last Tuesday and sprained my ankle quite badly. And so I am spending even more time on this couch than I normally do. That's probably the nice way to put it. I have been sitting with my foot elevated and trying to be grateful for the small changes that I'm seeing and the little bit more strength. So, nothing was broken, just really bad sprained ankle, some bruises on the other leg from falling all the way down. And yeah, it's kind of disappointing to have lost some of the strength I'd been working on because of a fall. But accidents happen. You can't always control what's going to be on the sidewalk and how your foot's going to do when it takes a bad step. And this time I just happened to take a big tumble along with it, and that probably made it worse. So, lots of resting, and lots of trifecta-ing because I have been on this couch. And during the first couple of days, I was not in any state to do anything super complicated, so I did get some work done on some of the stuck-it-out things I was working on, so that was good. So, that's the basic idea of the life story for this week, and we shall move into yarnings and adventures in knitting. So, the project I am working on right now is my socks. I will get to the end of this row. This is a sock blank from Alexandra's Crafts, which I got this March on the Yarn Crawl in Portland, Rose City Yarn Crawl. I got it at Pearl Fiber Arts, where they always do a nice big Alexandra's Craft trunk show, and it is my first sock blank. So, I finally made it to the pink. I have this much left on my sock blank, and so now the only decision is how long of socks do I want these to be. Sorry, that probably clinked loud. You can see that I have made the leg about as long as the foot is now, so I shall probably move into some ribbing here pretty quick. I don't know why I am tangled all of a sudden. There we go. The yarn was on either side of the sock, but I love this transition into the pink. The lighting isn't quite as good in this room as it is in the other room, but you get the idea. There are just a few small little shadows of different colors in the pink, but besides that, it's just solid pink. It's a double-stranded sock blank, and yeah, I think I added a few increases on the back of the leg. Let's see. I think I did 3 sets of increases. I only see 2, so maybe I only did 2 just to give it a little more room, and I need to try them on, but one ankle is very swollen. The other one is a little swollen. And so I wasn't sure I would get a very fair read on how they're fitting. But last time I tried them on, they were fine. And I mean, the last time I tried them on was the last increase I did. So I've only knit that much. So it's not going to have caused any problems. I will probably do one more set of increases before I start the ribbing, just so that as it's getting close to the bottom of my calf muscle, it has a little more stretch. So, socks, nearly completed. I'm really working on those slowly, and I haven't worked on them as much because I haven't left the house as much. They tend to be my going out and about project, but as I said, I've been on this couch an awful lot and not out moving around and riding on buses and stuff. The next project that got quite a bit of work on it is my You're Beautiful shawl by Melanie Berg. It is still on a shortish needle, but I think even if I put it on my biggish needle, it would still have a wider wingspan. I'd have to put multiple cables, and it's really not that important to see the whole thing at this point. I guess that way. So I am striping 2 colors. They are in the matching bag that came with this yarn. The bag is Kitchen Counter Crafter, Java Jenny. Happy birthday, Java Jenny! And the yarn that came with it is Sun Valley. And then I'm striping it with a Query fiber that I won last year, or I got in the Yarn Lotto last year at ZK. So, Query fiber and Sun Valley's High Twist Woodland Friends colorway. So this is going to be fabulous. I really like how these colors are working together. The light pink of the Query going into the pinkish tan of the Woodland Friends is really nice and gives a very subtle striping effect. It just really stretches out the fancy colors of the one. So I really like this. I have an outfit that I already know this is going to be perfect with, and I cannot wait to wear them together to take some pictures. I am on the final section before the ribbing. There's a short amount of ribbing. So this is the last section of points, and I already have as many rows as it said, but I'm going to keep going. I want to use as much of this yarn as I can. As you saw, there wasn't that much left of the Sun Valley, but there's quite a bit left of the Query. So I'll definitely do a bit of continuing on in the increased pattern in the Query, and then the ribbing will be the Query as well. I'll make it a bigger shawl, and it will be fine that it is just the one color. I think it's going to be a lovely edging to this awesome, colorful shawl. And I started out with just, I guess it was only a few rows that it was only the Query, but you can kind of see my design adaptation where I was not increasing the way the pattern had it. And I decided that would just make it a little more asymmetrical. And I kept going, and I switched to the correct increase pattern about there when I realized it, but I was not going back. It'll give just a little more space on one side than the other, and not enough of anything to go backwards for. So, You're Beautiful. I love the sentiment behind that title. If you are interested in some lyrics from a song that use that, my project page has a song lyrics on it. So yes, loving on that. And then the third thing that I'm knitting, I had a little bit of a gauge issue. And I did gauge, but I didn't block my gauge swatch, and I didn't do a very big gauge swatch because I didn't want to use up too much yarn, and so I did the gauge swatch, and then I ripped it out and started with that same yarn. So I don't even have it for a point of comparison. But whether I picked too large of a size based on the gauge that I did, or whatever happened, I'm not thrilled with how this is working up. But, so, this is I said it wrong last time, Summer Vines by Nicole Miller, I think. Here, I'll show you how it's supposed to look. Let's unplug you. So this is the way that it's supposed to look. You can see the cabled waistband, and then the top of it has a textured look to it. Let's see if the next page has a close-up on the texture. Yeah, it's not very clear, but you can kind of see. You can see my reflection too. Yeah, all I'm getting is a lot of reflection, guys. Sorry. So you can kind of see that there is a texture on the top, but not on the bottom. I started out doing my band as a different color because I knew I wouldn't have quite enough yardage for the whole thing with just the green. So here's the band. Here's the texture stitch, and the texture stitch I just had such a hard time with. It might be because I'm cabling without a cable needle, but it was, I would have been still too slow using a cable needle over as many stitches as I needed to do. And so I adapted the cable. You can't really see the difference, but it took a long time to do that much texture. Let's see my pretty matching stitch marker. That's from Knit Cubby. So then I got done with the allotted amount of texture stitch. I tried it on and it just feels a little too big. So that's where I think my gauge was off a little, but I also changed the texture a little bit, and it's not quite as constricting as it was. So here's what I'm going to do. We're going to flip it. This is going to now be the overbust band, which will show off the texture a whole lot. It'll show off the cables on here a whole lot more than it would as an underbust band. And then underneath, it's going to go into the stockinette. I will pick up stitches and knit straps up and to the back, which will use less yarn than doing a full back like the pattern had called for. It'll be a little different, but it will use less yarn, so then I can have more yarn on underneath the bust, and it might even turn into almost tunic length if I do a band on the bottom. I'm kind of inventing this as I go along now. I really like this band. I think it is beautiful and it is worth the pattern. I'm not disparaging the pattern. I'm disparaging my lack of gauge. And I was just watching a Creative Mojo podcast about swatching. I am disparaging my gauge issues, my lack of real swatching issues, but I'm going to make the best of this. Once I had gotten done with this texture, there was no way I was ripping that back. I worked way too hard to get that, and so this seemed like a better idea, and I tried it on. I think it's going to look beautiful. It's going to really show this band off even better than the other way, and I think I'm going to get a really nice amount of wear out of it. I've got it on a bigger needle right now, so it was easier to try on, so it's flaring a little bit, but I have added increases. It's harder to show you guys when I'm sitting down. I've added increases to the very middle, so you can see those two purple stitch markers there. I'm adding increases there, which will be the middle, and flare out a little bit in the front, like I've done with the last couple of tops that I've done, because that fits me and my body shape really nicely. No matter what size I am worthy of knitting clothes that flatter me in a Christine flattering way, not a I must follow the fashion rules kind of way. I truly believe that, and I believe that for you too. So that's what I'm doing with this. I'm going to go ahead and knit stockinette for a while, and I'll probably before this ball's getting empty. I have threads from my paper piecing all over it. This is Color Me Happy merino nylon in the first timer colorway, and the purple is Make Do, and I don't remember the colorway name on it. They just seemed like they would go together. The green was one that I had from a fairy yarn mother, and the purple was something I had from my first roommate at ZK. So, yeah. I think it's going to be really nice. So I still have some yarn here. I have 2 more skeins to wind up, and I have the rest of this. So, in theory, I think my plan's going to work out really well. It is going to take some engineering. This project will not be completed in June. I have successfully knit a top for many, many months in a row and had a top for each month. But this month, I didn't get it started in time, and yeah, I didn't bring it with me on my trip, so I didn't get it started till after I get back, and now I'm re-engineering it. So it will not be a June top, but that's okay. It can be a June-July top, and I will work on it during Tour de Fleece while I'm spinning more. So that is the next section here, Yarnings, Spinning a Tail. I have 2 spinning works in progress. I have returned to, let's see, here's the label, my hobbledehoy, Kaylee's Parasol. This was what I had previously. They go in order 1, 2, 3 of what I spun from the first half. I have 4 ounces. I had 2 packages. And so now this is the second package. I don't think I will fit all of that on this spindle, so it will be a very similar distribution. You can kind of see why it's called Kaylee's Parasol, because it's got those colors from Kaylee from Firefly and Serenity in there. This starts out with a greener, purpler color like her overalls. So I have not yet decided how I'm going to apply this. The original thought was I'm going to split it in half because I had 2 packages and ply it together, but I'm not sure that my spinning is exactly the same weight as it was the first one, because I did wait a while in between spinning it. I mean, it looks fairly close, but I'm wondering if I'm getting it a little bit finer this time around, and then plying it together isn't going to work as well. So another thought is ply all of it with a lace weight that I have. I have some Knit Picks Shadow that is a yellowy green color that I think would work really nice with this. And then I would stretch this out and have more yardage. I haven't pulled out the big quantity of lace weight that I have yet to actually hold it up. Or obviously I haven't tried plying any of it yet, but that is a thought. So I am making good progress on this now that I have picked it back up, and I am pretty sure that I will be done with the singles before Tour de Fleece starts. Tour de Fleece is an event that happens at the same time span as Tour de France, the bicycle race. And so that starts July 2nd, and I am part of Team Sasquatch, which is a group of podcasters that join together so that you can join in on that and support a lot of podcasters rather than just a single podcaster. So I will highly encourage you to go over there if you want to post your spinning during the event. And you can set a goal. My goal will definitely be to spin every day, probably exception of the rest days, or rest days that I deem rest days, days that correspond but maybe aren't exactly the same days that the rest of the team takes rest, depending on my schedule. So I am very loose and flexible about this. I am going to finish this because I'm not doing any strict team rules. It's a work in progress. I will finish it. I think that still will count. It will also count for Stash Dash. So this is one of the projects that I'd like to work on for True to Fleece. I also have, I think this is at the same spot as when I showed you guys last time, my Acreworks spindle that I am plying on the fly. This, I would like to finish this bump of fiber from my friend Annetta. But I would also like, when I am done with the Kaylee's Parasol, to put a bigger project on that spindle. I don't have a spinning wheel. I just use spindles, but I have several of them now. I have 3 bumps of this lovely. This is Santa Creek Creations. This is 100% Polworth, and I got this at the Columbia River Gorge Fiber Festival. Columbia Gorge, CGFF, there we go. It doesn't have a colorway name, but it is totally my colors. It's got purples, some bright pinks, and a nice tealy green. The purples go into a deeper color, and I have 3 of these, so I have 12 ounces. Yes, I believe these are 4 ounces each. It doesn't say, but I'm pretty sure that they were. I think I have 12 ounces of this, so this would be a more significant spin. And I'd like to get maybe a Sport to DK 2 to 3 ply and see how much I get. Although that might change once I'm spinning it to see what it looks like. But I really like this, and I really want a bigger project, bigger goal to work on, even if I don't finish it during Tour de Fleece. Tour de Fleece reinvigorated my spinning last year, and so I'm definitely looking forward to it. So that is my spinning goals. Oh, I also have a needle adjacent for my knitting. This is leftover from my 3rd shawl that I test knit for myself, my 3rd sample. And this is another Crafty Girl. And I think that these 2 are about the same yardage, and they're going to go together like a smile. They're going to go together for a cowl where I will stripe some of this, one of the minis, some of this, one of the minis, because there are 7 Wreck-It Ralph colorways captured in there. So, little adjacent, that will be worked on at some point. And then finish the other things that I already have going. Alright, let's shift back to my show notes here, away from the pictures of the summer vines. Stitch Through Time. I have made some good progress on my latest Hexie project. I now have 7 flowers. I have a whole lot of basted Hexies, and then this morning, or this afternoon, I cut out a few more. I think there's 7 sheets, so 35 more to be basted. And then I have left another 10-ish sheets that I haven't, charms that I haven't cut up yet, but those might be half hexagons for the edge. So what I'm trying to do is make a long stripe where I will put, I don't remember how I had this, but they'll be side by side in some orientation to make a strip that will go in a larger quilt with this fabric that I have, the jelly roll. So I am plugging along with this. I am really pleased with my progress. I love how these are looking. I'm really just trying to put a nice variety of colors in each flower and enjoy the creativity of that. So they have been a nice addition to my couch crafting this week. All right, so that was Stitch Through Time for Knitting Community. I am going to post a thread this week for the Yarning Summer School. This will be going on through the end of the summer. So I think I said June, July, August. Obviously, June is nearing its end, but it will be a multi-month knit along where you will knit along while you are learning something. So whatever format that looks like for you. I talked about it a little more in last week's episode, so I'll get a thread going so that people can start posting their learning and crafting. Doesn't even have to be knitting. Knitting is just my default of what I do, whatever I'm learning. Also for Knitting Community, I've been watching more YouTube podcasts. With my Apple TV, it makes it easier to watch them on the big screen versus loading them up in Downcast and airplaying them to the Apple TV. And so for some of the podcasts, because the speed of my iPad is getting slower, it's easier to just pull up YouTube. So I have been watching Creative Mojo with Joanne. She's Auntie Jo on Ravelry, and she has been test knitting my shawl. And she's a very sweet friend. And so I started at the beginning with her episodes, and I finally today finished up everything that is current. Before ZK, I had watched a lot of Daisy Knits with Daisy, who's Jen in real life, and I caught back up with her. There were a couple episodes of Fiber and Dice with Rebecca and Charles that were before the hiatus that I hadn't watched yet, so I got a chance to tune into those and watch them play Codenames. And then Stockin' and Zombies, they are also on YouTube, and again, downloading it to my iPad and then airplaying it sometimes doesn't work for the longer podcasts so easy, so it's been easier for me to just load it up in YouTube. I'm still going into Downcast and marking them as played for the ones that I have in both places. I haven't come up with a better solution for that, but I have sure been enjoying the company on my extra rest days, which has been all of them since last Tuesday. So let us move into the non-knitting segments and sagas of geekery. We had an unexpected playing opportunity with my brother-in-law because rather than going out to eat on last Wednesday after my injury, he came to us, and so we played Imperial Settlers. And that's it. I'm hoping to visit the game store over the holiday weekend, but we will see how my walking ability is at that point. For now watching, we finished Person of Interest all the way to the end. Such a good show. I really, really enjoyed the show a lot. I really enjoyed the development of it over the seasons. I'm still kind of deciding how much I enjoyed the ending of it, but there were really good attributes to it that I liked. I think I'll need to watch season 5 again so that I can get a good grasp on my feelings of season 5. I did really enjoy it, even though it was a short season and even though it was the end. We started watching, so once we were done with that, we moved on to Fringe for Eric and I to watch, and we have finished season 1 and I've moved on to season 2, and we enjoyed that a lot when we originally watched it. We watched it on Netflix when it only was available to get the discs, and then once we'd caught up to the current season, we watched it in real time. So we haven't seen it again since then, and that has been quite fun. I also kind of zoomed through Grey's Anatomy season 12. That is the most current season that they just finished airing. And I haven't been caught up to Grey's Anatomy for many years, so that's kind of fun. And I really did enjoy a lot of the storylines that have come up. And so then once I was done with Grey's Anatomy, I went back to Numbers that I had stopped March-ish to watch Grey's Anatomy again. And so I will finish Numbers now. For now listening, I'm still listening to the Hamilton soundtrack. It still keeps playing in my head, so then I keep playing it. But then I've also been listening to the J.J. Abrams soundtracks, so Person of Interest, Fringe, Lost, Alias, they are all on Apple Music. And so I made myself a playlist of those, and I enjoy having that be the background when I'm working on something that I need to concentrate a little more on. For Fanciful Chatter, this shirt that I'm wearing is a new LuLaRoe shirt, and it's very nice and soft. For Book of Cooking, I haven't been cooking very much, and allowing other people to serve me and bring me stuff is hard for my temperament, but I have been trying to be gracious and allowing Eric to bring me things. I am now making it down the stairs slowly, but that has made it so that I can actually sit at the table and eat again. And we're going to have polenta and pasta salad over the next day or so. But I'm trying not to do too much prep and just let Eric help me when he gets home. For the happiness continues, I am grateful. I am grateful for a trifecta of crafts. Grateful for my Apple TV to watch things. And I'm grateful for fans and air conditioning. It is summer. Being trapped on a couch with my leg up in the air is not as much fun as some of the alternatives. But when I have my crafts and I have my TV for entertainment and podcasts, makes it a much more tolerable experience. So yes, I think that is everything on my little list for today. I appreciate you bearing with me as I am recording with a little less optimal lighting, and I am glad that you did join me. So let's see. You can connect with me on the internet. I am Christine with a K on Ravelry. I am KDLB, just the letters, on Instagram. The Yarnings podcast group is where we have links to the episodes and the info about the podcast knit-alongs, yarn-alongs, and the show notes with links to everything that I talk about is at yarningspodcast.com, all squished together. So, until next time, that's the story. Bye.